So today is our first day back from our break. So I'm heading to the Westpac Centre Cafe to catch up with the coach and have a quick chat about how we're placed at the midpoint of the year. So we're just going to do a bit of a mid-season review, Bucks. What do you make of?
Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here, Nathan. Thanks for giving up your time, mate. What do you make of the first half of the year?
I think we've played some good footy. I think across the competition, sides are still looking to play 4 quarters of their footy, and if they don't, I think they're finding that momentum shifts are really hurting them. So, our first couple of games against North and Carlton, offensively, going inside 50, we're a lot better early in the year than we have been recently, so that's something to get better at. But I think defensively we've improved, and if we're going to focus on one area and get that right, I think we need to get the defence right, and our last month has been improved in that regard.
Before you started as a head coach, would you have said that you're an offensive coach or a defensively minded coach?
I'm big on contested footy, first and foremost, and on defending well. I like defending in the front half. I like defending in the areas where if you can turn the ball over that you're actually going to be able to score from. The better we defend, the better we attack, and vice versa. But if you're going to go for one first, I think you definitely need to defend well if you're going to beat the best sides, which is what we're about.
What do you love about being a coach?
The best thing about it is providing the environment and the opportunity to young men, and you're still a young man, mate. You're successful in what you're doing, but you've still got another half of your career plus to go. But the young blokes that come through, and even guys that are at the tail end of their career, providing the opportunity for them to make the most of what they're doing right now. And it's great to see the hard work rewarded. And I think it's important to provide an environment and a culture that rewards the blokes that do the right thing, that want to tip in for themselves and for the success of the footy club.
As a head coach, how do you find having Rocket there?
I go to Rocket almost daily to say, when you get in situations, it's not all on-field stuff. There might be scenarios around the club that are challenging, whether it's dealing with a player, dealing with an issue. I often go to Rocket and say, look, have you experienced this in your time? What have you seen? What would you do? What are the important things in this decision? I see us as a coaching team. So I think I find that I go to Rocket, go to Walshy, and with our line coaches, we make and leadership group to make a lot of these decisions, because some of them are cultural decisions, some of them take and involve the buy-in of a larger group of people and the leadership of the footy department. And Rocket's a big part of that, and his role's understated in that regard, because it's often sort of under the surface a little bit.
I've noticed some behavioural changes of you in the coach's box this year. Have you had to change some of your mannerisms?
It's invasive. I mean, you've got a camera on you the whole game, so anything beyond a bland look is accentuated, because it adds to the colour of the broadcast, and that's all fair and good. I got some feedback, apparently, like 5-6-year-old kids, Collingwood supporters all around the land, were trying to break phones sort of after round 2, I think it was. So I think I got a bit of feedback from the rest of the coaching group. That's probably not the best way to the best look for us.
Succeeds, taken by Dwyer. That was ambitious. Taking a risk could pay off. Dwyer lines up. He of the run around the outer wing, gets one from centre half forward. Terrific.
We've had, I think, 7 or 8 guys debut. How have you seen the young guys so far?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, a lot of it hasn't been planned. We've had a few injuries, but I think that's why you've got a squad of 47. We've got 47 blokes that you recruit, some rookies, some first-year players, and then various stages of your career. But I think it's credit to Craig McRae, Dale Tapping, Tarks, Pebs and Mitch in the development department that have been able to produce young players, have been able to come in and play their role pretty well straight away.
You ready for it? So let's just go out there and do it, mate. We're all here to support.
You spent a bit of time with Joshy Thomas, and we're seeing that he's sort of starting to come along. Ben Kennedy up forward's been really good. Jack Frost was thrown in the deep end in the first round. Sam Dwyer's come in, and great story. Kyle Martin, Adam Oxley. You just got some really good stories there, guys that have have worked really hard from the moment they walked in the door. Not to say that's been plain sailing, because each of them have copped a kick up the arse at some stage that's made a difference to them, and they've actually responded well.
Well, how many players have you played already this year?
We've played 36. If you add Beams, Young, Keefe, potentially in that.
So we've got a squad of about 40 players that would have played senior footy, but you're going to trim that back to about 30 odd?
Yeah, well, as I said, we've got some young players that potentially have got rewarded ahead of their time, but they've actually been rewarded for the circumstances of the time. We're not just looking for the next 12 weeks. I mean, we want to be a good side in years to come. And part of our role through any season is not only to find our best footy for this season, but to develop for the medium term, the next 2 to 4, but also be setting up our culture and our leadership and our youth so that they're ready to be the leaders of 5 to 10 years, which is an important part of what we're doing.
How much play do you have in recruiting with Decker?
Yeah, we speak quite often about where we reckon the game's going, so you try and project. Every decision we make, we hope is a 10, 12-year investment in the player that comes in.
Dude, Nathan Buckley just called me.
Character is first and foremost, and underneath and within character is resilience and competitiveness. If you don't have those attributes, it doesn't matter how talented you are. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good your beep test is. Yeah. Because if you can't handle getting knocked down, which happens to everyone, if you can't handle injuries, if you can't handle getting dropped, selection, if you can't handle a kick up the arse because your training standards are dropped over the last couple of weeks, and you're going to be reminded of that, because it's the coach's duty or the leader's duty to let blokes know where they're at and whether they're behaving in the manner that's going to give them the best chance. If you can't cope with that, well then you're not going to make it in the caper. It's a harsh game.
Dude, we're going to Utah.
Did you find it was beneficial for the young players to get over to Utah with us?
Yeah, and I think we can do that better again. Just to get as many of the players, as much of the group over there as we possibly can in a camp environment. The fact it's altitude is a bonus, because I think there's the synergy, between yourself interacting with a first-year player and being able to pass your experience on in that environment. When you can get away, you're away from family and friends, you lean on each other a little bit more, you're eating together. I think that altitude work is accumulative over a number of years, and we'll get benefit for that.
Walk around, get up here.
I suppose being a head coach is something that I see myself wanting to do down the track. What are some of the more negative sides of it, or if there's any, of being a head coach?
The biggest challenge is balance. And as 2 boys, 4 and 6, and a wife at home that demand and require attention and time, and you can be a bit time poor in that regard. So you need to be really sort of regimented with your time, I think.
Were you good with that when you were a player?
No, it was just footy. It's a selfish caper. It demands absolute attention, and everything needs to get pushed to the side for you to make a go of it as a professional. So Tanya's been fantastic support through all of that. But now as a father, that demands a fair bit of time and attention as well. Believe it or not, there's a bit of synergy between being a father to young children and being a coach.
Well, how so?
Similar behaviours. Similar behaviours. Yeah, just managing sort of rewards and penalties for certain behaviours. I mean, we like to create a culture at home. We have a value system and a mission.
Looking forward, second half of the year, what do you think is going to be the big difference for us that will?
Yeah, look, I think we can fall into the luxury, I suppose, of thinking that blokes are going to come back and make up the gap between where we are and where we want to get to, but that's not a fact. I mean, we've got a depth there that we can call on, but it's not the blokes that are out of the side that really are going to make the difference. I think we'll have a squad of 30 that we'll go through, but our best football with whatever our best 22 is on that given week needs to improve, and it's really just sharpening up all areas of our game. We need to sharpen up in our defence and continue to improve that. We need to improve our our offence in particular, our inside 50 kicking, and that's going to be something that we need to get better at. We've gone from being top 4 to bottom 4 in the last, top 4 in the first 5 weeks to bottom 4 last 5 weeks.
Why's that?
Good question. Probably conditions play a part, personnel plays a part, bit of the synergy between mids and forwards. I think there's a little bit about focusing so heavily on our defence that you can't really get something without giving something up. But we're happy with that. We understand that we'd rather be having to catch up on the offence than on the defence.
Do you think there's a blueprint for a game plan to stand the test of time, or do you think it evolves?
I think that's probably the thing that's changed and shifted most in my philosophy, is that this is how you play the game. There really are basics that don't change, era after era. The basics don't change. You need to win contested footy. You need to be fitter than your opposition, and if you are, then physically
Do you need to be fitter, or do you need to be smarter?
Well, I think it's a bit of both, but I think the guys that are mentally and physically ready and resilient to play footy under intense heat, they keep their head and they make smarter decisions. And fatigue makes a coward of everyone. So if you're actually physically fit compared to your opposition, you should be able to make smarter decisions than he does.
After the next 4 weeks, if you could have a couple of words to describe our side, what would they be?
Disciplined, relentless, very strong defensively. I fundamentally believe that the scoreboard looks after itself. If we play our best football, that we can bring a pressure and an intensity that not many sides can handle for short periods, let alone long periods. So if we can do that, then we'll be in good shape.
All right, thanks for that, Bucks.
Cheers, mate. Back to match committee. You can go home.